I'd like to call the 8th meeting of the Mayor and City Council on Monday, March 28th, 2022 to order. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. DeWalt?
Here.
Mr. Cole?
Present.
Mr. Mitchell? Mr. Sidnor?
Here.
President Smith?
Here.
Mayor Mel?
All right, thank you. Moving on to the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, moving on to item number 4, report of the Mayor and City Council. I'll start with myself. I want to thank the council and the constituents for coming out last Saturday on March 19th to meet and greet us in the town center and receive the COVID at-home test kits. It was a nice event for the council to be together and just distribute some of the items we got to help keep our community safe here. All right, and that'll be all for me. I'll move on to Councilman Mitchell.
So not much for me for update, but I do thank everyone who came out over the weekend, the 19th, to meet the council and receive COVID-19 materials.
All right, thank you, Councilman Mitchell. Moving on to Councilman DeWalt.
Good evening, everyone. On 3/16, I helped out with Lars, helping a young lady who moved into Stewart Manor, moving furniture in, taking a lot of stuff out. On 3/19, Council President Smith didn't do that a lot of justice, what we did there. It was his idea. He actually came out with a really, really nice flyer of all 5 council members, which this is my going on my 5th year as a council member. We've never done nothing as the actual team together. And I thought it was really nice to show all the council together and be together. And it was very, very successful. And big kudos to Council President Brencis Smith for that. I attended a tree board meeting. We have it's estimated to be a 250-year-old tree. It's a black walnut tree on Post Office Avenue. If you ever get a chance and you want to go down there, it's just a small little street going down to the river. The tree is absolutely beautiful. There's always a chance we're going to lose that tree from development. I actually contacted Tacoma Park, who have some of the strictest tree ordinance in the nation. And I forwarded that to Bill Bailey and some of the members of the tree board. It might be a little too late, but it would be nice to, stop these removals of some of these trees that are so dear to our community. And there's a lot of tree lovers out there, and this tree is absolutely gorgeous. On 3/23, I attended the Cats fundraiser at Tampico. It was 2 nights straight that they had it there, and Tampico does an absolutely fabulous job for Helen and the Cats. They raised nearly $1,000 in those 2 nights from donations. I also I just want to bring this to the attention of our people, our citizens and constituents that live in apartment complexes. Although we have an affordable housing, affordable housing section in our ordinances and things like that, and it's really not that affordable if you actually look at the prices of it. And there is a group going around now that they've bought now 4 apartment complexes, and they're called Laurel 24. And each one of these, and it doesn't matter, they don't discriminate against anyone. If you're a senior and you're 80 years old and you've been living there for 24 years, or if you're young, just starting off with a job at TGI Fridays or Lowe's or something like that, they go in there and they say they're going to do all these renovations, which I imagine they do to some extent. But the average price that they're going to raise your rent is going to be around the $600 range. And when you start messing with senior citizens with on fixed incomes and young workers in our restaurants and our bars and things like that, and you raise their rent $600, it's not going to be affordable to live in the city of Laurel anymore. So I caution them, if you hear of this company coming into your apartment complex and they're planning on buying it, you look at your rent being going up at least $600. That's all I have, Mr. President.
All right. Thank you, Councilman DeWalt. Councilman Sidnor.
Thank you, Mr. President. Like you said, we attended a COVID rapid test with the Laurel Town Center. It's a great event. Work with all the council members. I think we should do that more often. Also want to thank Cheetos and Laurel Police Department. Yesterday had a community event. It was good to see the police department out there in the capacity of serving the community, because we always think the police in a certain way. But to see the police out there interacting with the community, with the moon bounce and things like nature, talking to the community, I commend Chief Hellman and his officers for doing that outstanding job, and commend Cheetos also for giving back to the community. I had a chance to talk to the district manager there, so I can't pronounce his name. I got his name, but anyway, he said he wanted to continue to do those type of things for the community. He loves having a restaurant here in Laurel, and I'm looking forward to working with him in the future as well. That concludes my report, Mr. President. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Sidnor, and I want to echo them, Councilman Sidnor, by saying kudos to the Laurel Police for that as well. I saw that online. I wasn't able to attend, but I saw Councilman Mitchell there. I saw Councilman Sidnor, and it looked beautiful, looked like a fun time. Thanks for doing that. All right, moving on last to Councilman Cole.
Thank you, Mr. President. I was also at the COVID test giveaway. I think we've beat that horse to death. But I did want to thank Ms. Pulley. She helped me arrange some assistance for our parking lot here at the Municipal Center. They did a Ukraine package truck drive on Saturday the 26th. I was able to donate to that, but was unable to attend due to a funeral. That was put on by AFG Free, Flanders Field, and St. Philip's Episcopal Church, and they sent aid to Ukrainian refugees over in Ukraine as they fight the Russians. That concludes my report, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilman Cole. And moving on to Mayor Mo.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just a couple things. Let me first give speedy recovery to Jim and Marlene Collins, who are both under the weather, as well as Mr. Tommy Skaggs, all members of committees here in the city. And also my mother, who's a little bit under the weather, and wish them all the very best and speedy recovery. It's nice to be back in person. Been a while. I encourage residents to look at the schedule that is on the city website for meetings, whether they're virtual, whether they'll be in person, as well as work sessions. And that's all on the website. And I want to thank the president for working with us to get that out, because I do think that's important, the way we've changed some things here. I did have the opportunity to attend the State Radio Control Board, their quarterly meeting, which I am a member of. Also, the Prince George County Municipal Association. They did have the Laurel Big Lots ribbon cutting again that I attended in the opening ceremony. I want to thank the president for being there as well, and we wish them the best. As we told them, they're right outside the city, but they enjoyed us being there, and it's if you have the opportunity, go ahead and stop by, but I think most will enjoy it. The COVID test kits, let me commend the council for working on that and getting that out to the community. There was not only test kits, but also masks, and they gave out over 2,000 test kits. So it's important for us to continue to do that and to educate the public. I did have the opportunity to meet with Cub Scout Pack 602 here at the Municipal Center, talk to them about municipal government and their role and our role in the community. I do want to commend, I thought it was just St. Philip's Church that did a packet truck to Ukraine event here at the Municipal Center. And Gusto Bakery down on Main Street is celebrating 1 year. I had the opportunity to go down there and wish them the very best. They tried to give me a lot of things that I shouldn't be eating, but some of it was very good. So I encourage you to take a look at the bakery down there on Main Street. Tomorrow night, Tuesday the 29th at 6 p.m., the Laurel Police Department will be holding their town hall meeting. It's a year in review. It'll be at the Barkman Kaiser building. We encourage you to take the opportunity to attend. I do want to make just one statement, follow up on Councilman DeWalt's comments regarding the individual buying apartment complexes. He's made a major investment in the community, like others that come into our community. We need to work with them on affordable housing. We are one of the only jurisdictions in this area that has an affordable housing policy. I'm not even sure Prince George's County has an affordable housing policy. The affordable housing policy is just that. It's set through a market. Unfortunately, that market and how we adjust it and how it's all calculated really comes out to $1,700 for a unit. That's not what we want. We have over 80 units or 70 units right now in the city that are affordable housing. Really what's needed is we need to look to what they'll call a lower income housing is really what we need to look at. We are working internally on that. We have been for past 6 months. We've taken comments from council on that. We're also trying to figure out ways that we can put this for townhomes or new family dwellings. And we hope in the next, I think, 2 months or so to come back to the council, really have a work session just on that, Mr. President, and have input and feedback from the council. So we feel pretty proud of what we've done here in the city on affordable housing, but I think we need to take a look at that next level to really make this work. And we should be very happy that we were able to provide money to Lars, who continues to look at rental, those that need rental income, those that need utilities, as well as CASA. We were able to provide them some funding as well. And I think with those things, and we continue to look internally, we can make a difference here. But it's not an easy fix. The Council of Governments have been talking about it from a regional standpoint for a long time. So I'm hoping we can come to the council and have some dialogue here in the next 2 months or sooner. I have a couple proclamations, Mr. President, if I could. Proclamation 2022-4, whereas each year floods in Maryland kill more Maryland residents and destroy more property than any other natural hazard in Maryland. Residents may become injured or property suffer from damage due to severe flooding, especially during spring and summer months, whereas the findings of the 4th National Climate Assessment indicate that the frequency and the intensity of heavy precipitation events across the Northeast United States have increased since the beginning of the last century, and that this trend is projected to continue. And whereas a sizable portion of Marylanders are at risk and may be unaware of the changes in the uninsured and underinsured against flood hazards. And whereas spring and summer weather requires Maryland residents to take extra precautions to ensure being safe at home during extreme weather or while traveling, which includes away from being up to date on weather forecasts. Now, therefore, I, Craig A. Moe, the Mayor of the City of Laurel, do hereby proclaim the month of April as Flood Awareness Month in the City of Laurel, and urge all citizens to learn more about ways to protect themselves, their property, their possessions, and their finances in the community, and not to allow flooding to continue within this area. If people need information on flooding, you can contact our Department of Emergency Management, and they'll be able to help you as well with some of that information. Whereas Proclamation 2022-7, whereas the week of April 4th through the 10th, 2022 is National Public Health Week, and the theme is Public Health is Where Are You? And whereas since 1995, American Public Health Association, through its sponsorship of National Public Health Week, has educated the public, policymakers, and public health professionals about issues important to improving the public's health. And whereas public health actions together with scientific advances has played a major role in reducing and in some cases eliminating the spread of influenza disease and establishing today's disease surveillance and control system. Now, therefore, I, Craig A. Moe, the Mayor of the City of Laurel, do hereby proclaim April the 4th through the 10th, 2022 as National Public Health Week in the City of Laurel, and urge all citizens to observe the week by helping our families, friends, neighbors, co-workers, and leaders to better understand the value of public health and supporting great opportunities to adopt preventive lifestyle changes. The last is Proclamation 2022-8, 22-5, whereas the first Earth Day was created over 50 years ago, recognize the importance of every person in preserving our natural resources. And on this first Earth Day, 20 million Americans rallied for a healthy, sustainable environment. And whereas the global community now faces extraordinary changes such as global health issues, food and water shortages, extreme weather events, and economic struggles. Whereas all life forms on Earth have the right to a healthy, sustainable environment. And whereas the obligation extends not only to today's caretakers, but also the future generation of caretakers who will inherit the planet from us. And whereas the City of Laurel supports the projects that demonstrate and encourage energy conservation, sustainability, and the use of renewable energies. And whereas many local community members, schools, and businesses are working together in the interest of the planet to inspire participation through local action and global environmental efforts. Now, therefore, I, Craig M. O., the Mayor of the City of Laurel, do hereby proclaim April 22nd, 2022 as Earth Day in the City of Laurel and encourage all citizens to become engaged in local and global efforts to help improve the environment. Mr. President, I'm going to present this one to Councilman Cole, since he is the city's Environmental Affairs Committee. So, James. Joyce, you want to get a shot? Please. Good. Oh, sorry about that, Joyce. I didn't know you had that food on. With your permission, if he wants to say anything on behalf.
Sure.
Go ahead.
On behalf of the committee, Mayor, thank you for making this proclamation. I would like to encourage all residents to do their part whenever possible. There are lots of things that all residents can do, rain barrels, solar panels. There's a lot of things that the Environmental Affairs Committee is working on to help educate the public. We'll be working with the city and having several workshops throughout the year. Thank you, Mayor.
Good.
Yep. All right, thank you. Moving on to agenda item number 5, an appointment of Danny Selby, Director of Fire Marshal and Permit Services. Mr. Mayor, you have the floor.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. President. I am pleased to appoint Danny W. Selby as the Director of the Department of Fire Marshal and Permit Services. Most know Steve Allen retired, and I, when I was out looking for others, I happened to think about Danny. I said, somebody get me his resume. And he meets all the qualifications. Danny joined the City of Laurel Department of Fire Marshal Permit Services in 2017 as a housing inspector. He has a long career in the fire service, serving as a career firefighter from 1988 to 2014. He served 6 years as a master firefighter and 6 years lieutenant, 5 years as captain. Had supervisor and was a station officer, and that is not an easy task. Mr. Selby also received numerous training and certification education courses in the field of building codes, construction, life safety, and fire protection fundamentals in the life safety code. He's also very versed in the rental inspections, report writing, and attended the University of Maryland, Montgomery County College, and Frederick College, where he studied in fire science and business administration. Mr. Selby has been the acting director of the department since early February. I want to thank him for doing that. He is a hands-on and has the experience and knowledge of Laurel's government process as well as what the department needs in the back. And for that, I'm going to appoint him as the director of the Department of Fire Marshal Permit Services, and I'd ask for the council's confirmation. Thank you, Mr. President.
Right. All right. Can I have a motion?
Mr. President, I make a motion to approve the mayor confirmation of Danny Selby to the Department of Fire Marshal and Permit Services.
And can I get a second?
Mr. President, I'll second that.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, please call the vote.
Mr. Sidnor,
Yes.
Mr. Cole,
Yes.
Mr. DeWalt,
Mr. President, could I make a couple comments and ask a few questions of Mr. Selby?
Sure.
How you doing, Mr. Selby? I've never met you before up until you came up here and shook my hand. I have reviewed your resume, and I'm very, very impressed, especially with the work you've done or the classes you've taken in the training from 2019 all the way up to 2022. You even took a class on hoarding, which I have a lady and a gentleman that I'm trying to help out a little bit by visiting them. But your certifications and everything are very, very impressive. Mr. Selby, I've seen the mass exodus from the Code Enforcement Division and some really highly trained people that we have lost over the last few years. And it's very, very sad of losing them just based upon the way they were treated by their predecessor. I have a little task for you. I'm going to send you it's 5 minutes and 11 seconds. It's a video, and it only encompasses about 490 feet of an alley that I've been approximately a year. Don't count on the date exactly. A year, maybe less than a year, maybe more than a year. Mr. Lee in the Public Works Department came into this alley, and they did an absolutely fabulous job. And it had been deteriorating for years and years and years. And they did a fabulous job last year. Well, then the homeowners got involved, which cleaned it up really, really well. They got rid of a dumpster for me a long time ago that was overflowing. And actually some neighbors got together and helped out. And I look at the broken window theory, if you know that theory in police work or in cities. It's where if you have a broken window and you don't fix it, more bad things are going to happen. Where you're going to find one of those broken window panes in this alley right now. And so think about the broken window theory, and as soon as you see one abandoned vehicle, you're going to see more. And what this video is going to depict is 490 feet. And that's it. We're between 5 and 6 square miles in our city, but this is only 490 feet. And as soon as you go into that alley, you're going to see an apartment house where there's apartments, and you're going to see a stop work order from February 16th. Now, this is already the 6th week that there's been a stop work order on it. And the reason why, they got a blue tarp hanging up on the roof. So unless a blue tarp now is some sort of shingles that stops the water from coming in, my constituents live in that house. And now the blue tarp is almost completely off the roof. Then right next to that, you're going to see dumpster number 1, which as soon as you put a dumpster in an alley or something like that, and it's not guarded, every developer and every handyman is going to start using that dumpster. So it's probably getting close to being filled. And I know Giddings, who owns the dumpster, probably isn't coming there daily and cleaning it out. So it's been there almost 5 or 6 weeks. Then you're going to continue on, and you're going to see a vehicle that's been there for almost 6 to 7 years that needs to get, only way it's going to move from that spot is with a tow truck. Then you're going to hit behind an apartment complex in that video where you'll see standing water 3 and 4 inches deep. And I watched one citizen come out to get in his vehicle, and his shoes had to be soaking wet by the time he got in his vehicle and drove away. And that's where you're going to see dumpster number 2. And that dumpster is completely full. It's been full. Mattresses, box springs, every other thing, a rodent, rat, varmint, anything that could live there. And now we're getting into the warm months. Then when you look to your right, you're going to see a Jeep, and you're going to see a boat that's almost completely covered with weeds and trees and everything possible that could grow. If we let it go for another month, you won't even have to worry about them two, because they'll just be grown over with weeds and bushes and everything like that. And then on the left-hand side, you're going to see a pickup truck with expired Virginia tags that date back to 2021. You're also going to see some sheds with doors open, and you're going to see a big, at the end by 7th Street, when you go from 6th to 7th Street, at the end there, you're going to see a big brush pile. in a dirty backyard right before 7th Street. And we've already finally got an adopted ordinance about the alleys and how we're going to try to make them better. And this is supposed to be the first alley that we're going to get done. And in 1 year, because of the broken window theory, it has diminished almost into nothing. And our public work trucks used to drive down there 5 times a week. The garbage trucks and the recycling trucks for bulk pickup, they no longer do that. As soon as we fixed that, they weren't allowed to go down there anymore. So this is obviously from those trucks bringing in those dumpsters and other developers or other handymans that are driving through there with stuff on their things. So I'm going to vote yes for you based on your education, because I strongly believe that education is one of the most important things in the world. And we are very blessed to have a chief of police and a deputy chief of police that are now very, very well educated in our police department. And it's the same thing as goes with you. You seem like you spent some very, very quality time during this pandemic in educating yourself, not only with the fire service and everything, but as far as the code enforcement. And I applaud you for that. So that's my task for you. Remember, it's only 490 feet. And if we can't repair that, then we're not going to be able to repair nothing in our city as far as code enforcement goes. Thank you. I vote yes.
Mr. Mitchell,
Yes.
President Smith.
Yes. All right.
I just want to make comments, and I usually don't say this, but Mr. DeWalt continues to run his mouth about things that he doesn't know. He talks about Mass X, and he sits here and continually insults everyone else in the city government. There is a lot of good, hard-working people here in the city government, and all of them go through different training as well. And, this bits and pieces that he pulls out of the air to make it fit his narrative, I'm just getting a little bit tired of. And we have been working on the alleys. We've been working on all these different things. I don't get anything from him other than every Monday night when he likes to, tell everybody what he's been doing. So I just want to make sure people have concerns. They are more than welcome to call my office, or I'll be meeting them on the scene. We are working hard on the alleys. We're already working on several different things. It's not just the alleys. Some of this is owned by individual property owners. We have no authority to go on certain properties and do certain things that we have discussed before, Mr. President. So just so everybody's aware, I'm not sure where all his information comes from, but it's not accurate. Thank you very much.
Mr. President, can I make a rebuttal on that?
Can I have a debate now?
No, I'm just going to answer your questions. I'll send the video to everybody so you can all see in 1 year what has happened to
I
that
go through
alley.
alleys
I was
every
just going to
Sunday.
send it to you, but I'll send it to everybody so everybody can
I go through
see.
alleys every Sunday.
All right.
I don't need bits and pieces that you continually throw out all the time.
Let's move on to agenda item number 6. Motion to ratify Executive Order 2022-04. A motion to ratify Executive Order 20-2204, rescinding the following executive orders issued during the public health emergency COVID-19. Executive Order number 2022-03.1 revised City of Laurel Declaration of State of Emergency and City Operations during a public health emergency COVID-19. Executive Order number 2022-03, City of Laurel Declaration of State of Emergency and City Operation during a public health emergency COVID-19. Executive Order number 2021-16, face masks required in all city buildings, facilities. And lastly, Executive Order number 2021-15, revised personnel wellness check-in guidelines. Can I have a motion?
And Mr. President, I make a motion to ratify all the executive orders you read on record.
Thank you. Can I get a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion?
Mr. President, I'd just like to say that I'm very happy that we can do this. Thank everyone for doing their part, wearing their masks to help us get through the pandemic.
All right. Thank you, Councilman Cole. Madam Clerk, please call the vote.
Mr. Sidnor,
Yes.
Mr. Mitchell,
Yes.
Mr. DeWalt,
Yes.
Mr. Cole,
Yes.
President Smith.
Yes. All right, moving on to agenda item number 7, the general public hearing. Madam Clerk, is there anyone signed up to speak?
There's no one signed up to speak.
All right, thank you. I'm going to open the public hearing at 6:31 p.m. and I'm going to close the public hearing at 6:31 p.m. I'm moving on to agenda item number 9A. A second public hearing with possible action on ordinance number 1995. A second public hearing with possible action on ordinance number 1995, an ordinance of the Mayor and City Council of Laurel, Maryland to amend Chapter 17, Traffic, Article number 2, Operations of Vehicles of the Laurel City Code by adding Section 17-16C, Speed Monitoring Systems in Residential Districts to authorize the placement of speed monitoring systems in the residential districts in the city with a maximum posted speed limit of 35 miles per hour and provide an effective date. Madam Clerk, is there anyone? It's actually Chief. Chief, would you like to speak on that?
It's been a long time. I also fit through there a lot easier 2 years ago. Good evening, Council President Smith, Mayor Moe, and the entire esteemed City Council. Thank you for the opportunity to speak here this evening regarding ordinance number 1995, allowing for the expansion of our speed camera program in certain residential districts within our city. As you know, traffic and pedestrian safety are primary concerns not only for the Laurel Police Department, but for the citizens of Laurel, and especially for this mayor and council. With that in mind, we're always searching for ways to enhance our ability to increase our safety and the safety of the community and to make our streets and communities more secure from the harms of aggressive and illegal driving. During the last legislation session, the Maryland legislature enacted enabling legislation which allows for the expansion of the speed camera program within certain residential districts within our city, as noted in the ordinance. We believe by providing for such via this legislation, we will be better able to address traffic and pedestrian safety concerns more effectively within our community. This will help us to better protect our roadways for everyone. It is envisioned that we would exercise this ability in accordance with the soon-to-be-released traffic safety and parking plan findings, and in conjunction with other enforcement, education, and engineering measures available in the city. So tonight, we are respectfully requesting your support for Ordinance 1995, and I thank you again for your time and available for any questions. And Mr. President, if I may, if I don't do this, I'll be in trouble. I want to wish happy birthday to my son Anthony today. He's of the age he doesn't care if his dad's there or not, but I better say happy birthday from here since I'm not. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. I'm going to open the public hearing at 6:34, and I'm going to close the public hearing at 6:34.
Mr. President, before you close the public hearing and we call for a vote, can I make a comment on the public hearing?
Sure.
All right, thank you, Mr. President. I just want to make a couple of comments. I made that during the work session. I just want to put it on record again for this general hearing as well. We're aware that we have a speeding problem in the city, and I think last year in 2020, I can't remember what month it was, but we requested a traffic analysis study. I was the lead sponsor of that study. We've been waiting for that study to come back. From my understanding, the purpose of the traffic study was because residents complaining about speeding and parking throughout our city, and the council and the mayor was trying to find a way how to enforce that. That was the whole purpose, from my understanding, of traffic analysis. We have not received that yet, but we're pushing to have speed cameras in our neighborhood. I have no issue with speed cameras in our our school zone or hospital zones. Ever since I came on the council in 2017, one of the first things I tried to do was put speed calming devices in the community. Wasn't too favor of that. This council wasn't too favor of that, so I just stood down on that. So with the traffic study, like I said before, it haven't came back yet. And for us to act legislation, I know people got different understanding of it, but the way I understand it, that I rather see this traffic study come back before I can any ordinance, but it's here now, the majority rule. I just want to put it on record again that was my position. I said on a general work session. I want to make it public my feelings today as well. So thank you, Mr. President.
No problem. Any other discussion from the council?
I think I mentioned in the last one, I share the same concern. Definitely want to wait to see the traffic analysis, but I do understand the need to reduce the speed in some of these residential areas.
All right,
Mr. President, could I say something?
sure.
I just want to remind everybody that this ordinance will allow us to put the cameras there after the traffic study comes out. So while the traffic study is going to give us locations where it should go, this will just allow us to do that in a faster time frame. The traffic study should be out soon.
Thank you, Councilman Cole. All right, can I have a motion?
I'll make a motion that we adopt the speed cameras for the city of Laurel. Ordinance 1995.
Thank you, Councilman Cole. Can I get a second? Thank you, Councilman DeWalt. Can I get a second?
I'll second that, Mr. President.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, please call the vote.
Mr. DeWalt,
I'd like to thank Chief Hamill's insight, expertise, and professionalism, and the vast majority of my constituents would agree with this ordinance. I vote yes.
Mr. Cole,
Yes.
Mr. Mitchell,
Yes.
Mr. Sidnor,
No.
President Smith,
Yes.
Mayor Mo.
All right, thank you. Moving on to agenda item number 10, adjournment. If there's no further business to come before the mayor and city council tonight, this meeting is adjourned.
Wow.